Welcome to my channel, I'm Mike. In the previous video I alluded to showing some easy calculations to determine target size if you know the distance to the target, and of course to determine the distance if you know the size of the target using an MOA or a MILLIRAD scope. So you might say, well, just use an app. Yes, I do use Cello Pro. I can use an MOA scope, a MILLIRAD scope. I can use a combination of units in imperial or metric. I'll get the right answers. But the thing is, I think some people might benefit from these calculations, and I think some questions might be answered. So let's start off with the easiest calculations, the MILLIRAD calculations. Okay, so the gong you see hanging on that banner in the background is the gong. You might recognize it from the previous video. That's the one that measured with the MRAD scope at 160 meters. It measured 2.5 mil. That's the one we're going to use for these MILLIRAD calculations. So as you've seen, using the MILLIRAD is very easy. I mean, 1 milliradian at 100 meters is 100 millimeters, and so 1 milliradian at 200 meters is 200 millimeters. 1 milliradian at 253.65 meters is 253.65. That makes it very, very easy. Okay, now for the MOA calculations. I think first of all, if you're going to be using a quarter MOA scope, let's say comparing that against 0.1 MILLIRAD scope. 0.1 MILLIRAD would mean 10 clicks for 1 mil. Quarter MOA, of course, 4 clicks per MOA. You're going to have with the MOA scope fine adjustment. But then again, if you use a 0.05 MILLIRAD scope, you're going to have 20 clicks per MILLIRAD, even finer than the quarter inch. If you go with the MOA in a 1/8, you're going to have 8 clicks per MOA. That will be finer still than the MILLIRAD 20 clicks per mil. So, but the 1/8 MOA scopes and the 0.05 MILLIRAD scopes, in my experience, are, I don't know, scarce and expensive. And so basically 1 MOA at 100 yards equals to 1.047 true MOA. So shooter MOA says that 1 MOA at 100 yards equals to 1 inch. So that's gonna, well, basically that means according to shooter's MOA, 1 MOA at 1,000 yards is gonna be 10 inch, where it actually is 10.5, I think 10.47 of an inch, 10.5 inch. Will that half inch make a difference at 1,000 yards for a centerfire rifle? I'm not too sure. But I would rather use true MOA than shooter's MOA. So it doesn't matter. I mean, it has been used for hunting for a long time, but take this in consideration, as I will show later in the calculations. You cannot use shooter's MOA for target calculations or range calculations. You will not get a correct answer. You will be out by many, many yards, as you will see in the calculations. And yes, I just wanted to add, using shooter's MOA for air gunning, that would be a big mistake. Okay, the MOA calculations. We're going to be using the same gong for the MOA. One thing to note is 95.5. If you're going to be using 100, I've seen that, then you actually going to be using shooter's MOA. 95.5 is what you should use to include the true MOA into the calculations. For instance, if you're going to be calculating the target size, you're going to get something like 15.05 inches, and it should be 15.75. So using 100, you're going to get 15.5. 95.5, you'll get the exact size of that target. Exactly the same with calculating the range. So if you're going to be using 100 in your range calculation, you're going to get to 183 yards, and it should be 175. If you've been using 95.5, you'll get to 175, the exact range. And you can, of course, also calculate what the MOA reading should be at that distance with that size of target. That's it, end of video. I hope some people has at least found this informative. I would really appreciate if you can comment to that effect. And yes, the next video will be the Mark III with the Slugliner A and the 31 grain RBTs, rebaited bowtail hunting. I hope to be releasing that soon. 114.